The next energy and atmosphere credit is demand response. And this credit applies to the following categories from 1 to 3 points. The intent is to increase participation in demand response technologies and programs that make energy generation and distribution systems more efficient, increase grid reliability, and reduce greenhouse gas emissions. When temperatures rise or fall dramatically, use of air conditioning or heating increases, and the electricity grid must respond quickly, especially in urban areas and places where commercial buildings or industrial operations are clustered. Utilities work to keep the system operating in balance, reliable, and at a reasonable cost. Demand response, or DR strategies, encourage electricity customers to reduce their usage during peak demand times, helping utilities optimize their supply-side energy generation and delivery systems. One strategy is tiered demand electricity pricing. Another is incentive programs that reward commercial customers who agree to change their usage patterns when the utility company sends an alert, announcing a DR event. By reducing the overall demand for electricity, DR helps utilities avoid building additional power generation facilities, transmission lines, and distribution stations, and thereby avoiding some of the environmental effects of energy infrastructure and consumption. DR also helps balance the contribution of renewable energy sources. Permanent peak load shifting also reduces demand on the grid during peak service times, but occurs even if no event is called. Permanent load shifting provides constant, reliable reduction for utilities and buildings. There are 3 cases here. So for the establishment period, evaluate building systems and equipment for participation in the demand response program. On-site electricity generation does not meet the intent of this credit. So in case 1, demand response program is available for 3 points. Here, participate in an existing demand response program and complete the following activities. Have in place a system with the capability for real-time, fully automated DR based on external initiation by a DR program provider. Semi-automated DR may be utilized in practice. Enroll in a minimum 1-year DR participation amount contractual commitment with a qualified DR provider, with the intention of a multi-year renewal for at least 10% of the annual peak electricity demand. And peak demand is based on the electricity utility bills. Develop a comprehensive plan for meeting the contractual commitment during the DR event. Include the DR processes in the current facilities requirements and operation and maintenance plan. And initiate at least 1 full test of the DR plan. Case 2, when demand response program is not available, for 1 point. Here, have the infrastructure in place to take advantage of future demand response programs or dynamic real-time pricing programs and complete the following activities. Develop a comprehensive plan to shed at least 10% of the annual peak electricity demand. And peak demand again is based on electric utility bills. Include the DR process in the current facilities requirement operations and maintenance plan. And same thing, initiate at least 1 full test of the DR plan. And contact the local utility representative to discuss participation in future DR programs. Case number 3, permanent load shifting for 2 points. Implement electrical load shifting measures with the following requirements. Have in place during the performance period a system which permanently transfers electricity demand from peak hours to off-peak hours. Demonstrate that the facility is successfully reducing peak demand by 10% during the performance period as compared to peak electrical demand by identifying all load shifting measures and their intended peak electrical load shift, verifying a corresponding peak electrical load reduction for each measure, and verifying a corresponding off-peak electrical load increase for each measure. Include the load shifting measures in the current facilities requirements and operation and maintenance plan. There are no performance requirements. Let's have a look at the documentation. What is required really depends on the case that we're following or the option that we are following. When following option 1 or case 1, provide a proof of enrollment in DR program, evidence of the ability to shed 10% of the peak demand, inclusion of the DR or load shifting in the O&M plan, and a comprehensive action plan, as well as evidence that you have performed 1 full test of the DR plan. If we follow case number 2, provide evidence of ability to shed 10% of the peak demand, again inclusion of the DR or load shifting in the O&M plan, comprehensive action plan, and the same thing, Provide evidence of the performance of the one test. Now for the permanent load shifting option, provide evidence of the ability to shed 10% of the peak demand, inclusion of a DR or load shifting in the O&M plan, and the description of system for load shifting. For this credit, no exemplary performance is available.